Well, hello, my scurvy chaps and chapettes, and welcome to Jamaica, which is a board game that everybody should own. And if you watch my original review of this way back in 2012, my God, that's 6 years ago. Well, if you watch my original review, you'll know that this is a board game that everybody should own. If you want to see that original review and look at how bad and terrible my videos were, there's a link up on the screen now. But anyway, what is Jamaica? Jamaica is a racing game where players are pirates in control of their ships and they're racing around the island of Jamaica. And you're going to be collecting treasure, you're going to be collecting gold, food and cannons so you can fight each other. The food is there to pay your crew to stay at sea, and the gold is there to gain points at the end of the game, but also to pay for your stay at a port. And it's a roll and move game. Yes, someone will be rolling the dice and then you'll be moving depending on what those dice results are. But this is very different. Everybody is going to get to use those results of those dice by playing a card. Each card has 2 actions, and one action will be allocated to one of the dice and the other action allocated to the other. And this is how many spaces you move forward, backwards, how much food you load up, how much gold you load up, and how many cannons you load up. And it all depends on the order of these 2 dice and how they're depicted on your card. It's a great family game. If you haven't got it, get it. It's an amazing game, and it's gone up in my ratings over the years as I played it and enjoyed it. It's a great game to introduce to new people that are new to board gaming because it's got some very similar aspects to other games that they've played, but it's also just beautiful to look at. It's a fantastic production, and it also plays really well, and it's really fun when someone mucks up the actions and actually moves backwards 6 spaces and forward 1 space instead of the other way around. This is a great family style game which you can play with adults, and it plays up to 6 players, which is even more carnage and more fun. So when I heard that there was an expansion out, it was on my wish list. It was a game that I really wanted to get and add to this game. It's an expansion, it's not a game, it's an expansion, totally different thing. So I got hold of a copy through my good friend Berkey, who actually bought the copy for me while we were out at Gen Con, and I've played it. But is it a board game expansion that should be added to Jamaica or not? Let's find out. So what comes in this box? Well, you're going to get a new deck of treasure cards, you're going to get a bottle of rum, and then you're going to get these tiles which sit, well, they kind of sit in this insert which looks like a deck, because you've got these stairs here, of a boat. And this is where you're going to be recruiting your crew. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, well, this is the publishers have gone a bit overboard, I think, in regards to, these very small amount of components, which could have been all on cards in a box, which would be a third or a quarter of this box, and then it would have saved us, the consumer, a lot of money, and them a lot of money in producing this beautiful art. And so it's kind of like a big box of nothing. And you're going to find that you're going to need a bigger boat if you play with this expansion, especially if you play a 6-player game at a small table, because this is going to take up real estate on your table. Going back to what I said earlier about everything being on a deck of cards, because these tiles could have been just cards. You would have put the cards on the table and for, you know, players to see what crew are available, players would have to look over. But having it in this box is actually quite practical, because you can then pass it around and say, okay, right, oh, this guy's available to buy. And it's lovely as well, because these tiles just pop out when you apply a little bit of pressure. So there's some thematic, artistic decisions that have gone into making this. Yeah, it's bigger than what it should be for what it actually adds to the game, but at the same time, it kind of corresponds with the beauty of the original board. So what does this expansion do to the game? How does it enhance the pleasure of playing the game? It doesn't really enhance it a lot, because basically you're taking the old treasure deck and you're throwing that away and you're replacing it with this new treasure deck. And basically the old treasure deck had treasures, curses and special powers. Well, now the treasures and curses are in the new deck, but the special powers are applied to the crew. So the game is kind of like been spread out, and it kind of feels like that. It feels like, yeah, you've had some extra butter put on your bread, but you can't really taste the difference. Although you can see the difference because there are more powers and more things applied to them, and there's more treasures and there's a little thing applied to the treasures as well. But in general, you don't really feel much has been added to the game. It's just been grandiose, a little bit, and just spread out throughout the game. So what rule changes are there? Well, basically the only rule change is if on your turn you stop at a port and you manage to pay the fees to park there, you then get the possibility to employ a member of a crew. So this is when you go over to the board here. Now at the beginning of the game, all these tiles are going to be mixed up and randomly and placed face down. The only thing that's going to give away who is the 5 different colors on the backs of the tiles, because there's 5 different categories that these characters fall under. You have these combatant characters here who will help you with combat. There are these navigators that will help you traverse the water a little bit more fluidly. There are these merchants that will help you trade stock for whatever you want it to be. There are these regal nobles that will help you with gold and getting more points. And then there are the witches that will help you cheat the game. There's one in particular, Calypso here. If you manage to collect 3 cursed treasures, you win the game immediately. So, as well as having a special power, or maybe not having a special power at all, you will get a gold value assigned to each of the characters. This gold value will matter at the end of the race. If you cross the finish line, you will get the values marked in gold. And if you don't finish crossing the line, but you know, you're still in the game, you get the values marked at the bottom. As you can see, the more powerful the character's ability, the less value they have in the race. Now, when you go to collect a crew member, the first thing you're going to need to do is pick one which is adjacent the bottle of rum. You choose it, and then you add it to one of your hold spaces. If you don't have a hold space, you can jet something into the sea, like food, for instance, to put them in. Again, these guys can be thrown out of your ship as well, but you have to replace them with another resource. So for instance, I could put gold in there to throw this guy back into the water. Now once that's done, the bottle of rum moves into the space of where that person was, and then you reveal the next 2 characters, or any characters that are adjacent to the bottle of rum. So this opens up possibilities for other players to buy other characters. And if you feel there's a character that you want which is further away, you're going to have to pay a gold to move the bottle close to that character, and then you can buy that character. And the further away a character is, the more gold you're going to have to pay to move the bottle closer to them. And this is like the real big changer in the game. It's not that big, but you're being able, the possibility to choose the powers that you want to have. Again, you're limited to the amount of spaces that you have, and you're not having them drawn from a deck. You're actually looking at this board and you're going, right, that power is quite useful, I'll take that one. But as I said, some of the really powerful powers don't give you much gold, or maybe negative gold, at the end of the race. which leaves you with this conundrum to fathom. Maybe you'll buy someone at the beginning and then throw them over the board and replace them with someone else who's more important and will give you more gold at the end of the race. Or again, you've only got those 5 spaces. Do you clutter your ship with really powerful powers from the crew members and not leaving yourself much resource power to dock in a port and then maybe feed your crew, or maybe just have some gunpowder to help in that fight? Yeah, it adds another kind of level to strategy to the game, which is nice. And the only other rule change is in the treasure deck. Somewhere in the treasure deck, if you draw this big diamond, whatever ruby that it is, because this is like the highest value, you will have to show it and reveal it at all times to the other players. Well, all the other treasures and curses that you pick up are kept secret, which is nice. It's a nice little addition to the game, because basically what this does is it puts a target on your t-shirt, meaning that all the other pirates will probably want to attack you just so they can steal this. It's big points. So let's move on to one of 2 reviews. We'll start with the technical, cold-hearted, I try to pull my soul out of my body and just tell me what I see. The technical review for the crew. It is an over-elaborate expansion to add to Jamaica. It comes in a box which is the same size as Jamaica, the original, and, well, the base game, but it's a bit smaller. But the artwork is beautiful, the presentation is beautiful, the components are, the card is solid quality, the wooden token is good. You could mix the treasure cards in with the original base game and you wouldn't notice the difference. The tray is over glorified, but as I said, this is practical due to the fact that if you're playing a 6-player game and players want to see which characters are available, you can pass this over to them instead of them having to walk around the table or lean over. The rulebook is very well written, although some people might be a bit miffed with the actual kind of like map, like in the original. Everything is there. It would have been nice to have a reference card with the powers on them so that can be passed around, because your first couple of games will be referencing what each of these characters can do. But overall, it's polished. It's well produced. It's put together. Technically, it inserts into the game easily. So this technically is a 9.5 out of 10. As I said, it needs the reference cards. Maybe just instead of the rule book is a poster, which if you didn't like in the original is not very good. And as I said, it's big and bulky kind of expansion, and technically that's it. So how do I feel about the game? I keep saying board game, it's an expansion. So Jamaica, the crew, is a board game expansion that everybody should think about before looting their treasure chest and putting down to the scurvy shop to pick it up. Because it adds a little something, but really a little nothing. It doesn't change how I feel about Jamaica. It doesn't improve the game like a lot of good expansions do. Carcassonne base game is good, and then you play with an expansion and it has like 3 variants, and it's like, wow, this changes the game quite a bit. This doesn't change the game really that much. It's you have this other element of thinking to have in your head, because you're thinking, maybe this power is useful, but that power is really useful, but it's not going to get me much gold at the end of the game. I might lose some gold. And so you have to balance your crew as well as your resources. And that's nice, but it doesn't change really much for me personally. I would still just use the base game to teach new people, because it is simple and it's easy. This does add a little level of complexity on top of that, but I would still just keep this basic for children, Jamaica as it is, and newbies as it is. And I'd only play this expansion if people have played Jamaica before and they want something slightly different, and they're experienced players as well. Because, I'm not saying that this is complicated, but that's just me personally. I don't think it's worth getting out just to play with new players or with young children. As it is, it's a great family game. Jamaica doesn't need touching unless you do something magnificent. And this kind of just does as I said, spreads the game out. So, there you go. Is it my cup of tea? That's a hard one to say. It doesn't, as I said, it doesn't make the game any better for me. It's still a 9 out of 10 on my Board Game Geek ranking. So if you combine the two scores together, the technical one and the Board Game Geek ranking, you're going to get a 9.25. So there you have it. That's Jamaica the Crew. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Maybe it's pointed you in the direction whether this is one for you to search out or not. Seek out and destroy. You sunk my battleship. You sunk my galleon. Yes, so all I'll say now is if you've liked this video, give it a like. If you know someone that might appreciate this video, share it with them. And if you want to check out everything that I've been doing in the board game world, you can go to boardgameseverybodyshould.com and check out everything that I've been doing in the board game world there. So thanks very much for watching. I'll say ciao for now, and remember to please play nicely with each other. And when you backstab someone, do it in front of them. So you're backstabbing in front of them. Arr, like a real pirate.
Just sitting at the table next to Felicia would be quite nice. Wouldn't it be good? I got some board games.